Everything we saw tonight, representing billions of dollars of research and development, would be absolutely worthless if it weren't for one most critical component: the individual soldier. The young boy or girl who at age 18 take on breathtaking responsibility of stopping a Shihab missile from inhabiting thousands of innocent Israeli citizens. The combat soldiers who day in and day out put his life on the line to patrol and protect the borders of Israel. Those young soldiers that we heard from in Israel and the soldiers that are with us here tonight represent, as Prime Minister Netanyahu said so well, the Jewish capacity to defend ourselves. Sadly, that capacity comes at a very high price, and never more so than when it includes the life of a precious young soldier. Tonight we are deeply honored to have with us the remarkable mother of not one, but two such young soldiers. Ladies and gentlemen, Miriam Peretz.
Shalom. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I come here tonight to share with you a personal story of darkness and light, of faith and hope, of sorrow and joy. This story does not belong to me alone. It is the story of the people of Israel. My husband, Eliezer, and I were blessed with 6 beautiful children. Our sons, Uriel, Eliraz, Avichai, and Eliasaph, all became officers in Sayeret Golani. And our daughters, Hadass and Bat-El, married Golani combat soldiers. A year ago, on the eve of Passover, 3 angels knocked in my door. No, they didn't bring with them the prophet Eliyahu. Rather, they were the bearers of terrible news. My second son, Eliraz, 32 years old, and a deputy commander of Golani, Battalion 12, was killed fighting terrorists in the Gaza Strip. As soon as I saw who was outside my home, I slammed the door and I shut the blinds so that no one could enter. When they finally did come in, I grabbed their hands and begged them, "Don't say a word. Don't deliver the news. Just let me have my son for one more minute." This is a mistake, I explained, for I had already paid the ultimate price for our country's survival a dozen years ago. Uriel, my beloved firstborn, a lieutenant in Sayeret Golani, was killed in the battle in Lebanon at the tender age of 22. And as if that was not enough, my dear husband Eliezer, unable to bear the loss, died 5 years ago of a broken heart. And so, it was Erev Pesach. We were gathered for the Seder without Eliezer, without Uriel, and now without Eliraz. We cried as we read from the Haggadah, Bechol dor vador omdim alenu lechalotenu. In every generation, they rise up to destroy us. In Uriel's generation, it was Hezbollah. In Eliraz's was Hamas. Every generation has its enemies, and every generation has its heroes. Uriel and Eliraz were as close in life as they are now in death. They were both sensitive, modest, and observant. They were content with life and thankful to God for what they had. They didn't crave combat or wish for war, but when called on to defend their people, they didn't hesitate. They simply said, Ima, it's our turn. They were always first in line, always leading the way to do what needed to be done. After Uriel was killed, Eliraz and his younger brothers, Avichai and Eliasaph, were exempt from combat service, but they perceived combat service as a mitzvah, a divine calling. As their mother, I had to sign special papers allowing them to become fighters. I signed with fear and a trembling hand, but I was grateful for the privilege of being able to do my part to support the Jewish homeland. Thank you. You see, unlike my sons, I was not lucky enough to have been born in Israel. I was born in Morocco. In 1964, in the dead of night, the Jewish Agency gathered us from the alleys of the Jewish ghetto and transported us to a place whose name we only dare to whisper, Eretz Israel. I remember arriving in Haifa and my father kneeling down and kissing the ground as he said the Shechianu. This scene echoed in my mind each time as I watched my son's coffin bin lowered into ground at Mount Herzl. Except now, I was the one who was kneeling and kissing the soil of Eretz Israel as it covered their bodies. It is not natural. It's not right. It's not fair for a mother to have to bury two of her sons. A mother should have to decide which son to hug first, not which grave to visit first. That of my firstborn gone so many years, or that of my younger son, whose grave is still so fresh. These are not choices a mother should be forced to make. Yet, though death has dealt me more than one painful blow, I want you to know that I do not despair. In Morocco, I had to walk with my head always bent and fair. In Eretz Israel, I stand tall proud and unafraid. I pray to God to give me strength and to allow me to see my grandchildren grow up so that I can tell them, as I tell you now, about their noble father, Eliraz, and their wonderful uncle, Uriel, and about all the brave fighters who defend our special nation. Tonight, my dear friends, I am here to tell you that no matter how hard the road ahead, our soldiers and our people do not fear the journey. In the names of my fallen sons, I pledge you that Am Israel Chai, the people of Israel will live on. Thank you.